The season has officially started. It's the 3rd of April. Back in Assen. Today is not the official race day, it's the training day. It's time to get everything sorted out and make sure that all the work that I've been doing has actually paid off. So, I almost tripped over this thing. So actually, before we start this video, I think it's about time that I tell you all of the things that still needed to be done to get the bike ready. Boom! What's up, guys? Back in the garage. I've been jumping in and out between work, between family stuff, just to make sure that we get the bike ready before the racing season starts. On the last video, I left you guys at the moment where I was removing the ABS. So let's pick things up where we left them. The digital part of the ABS is supposed to stay in place. In order for that part to be protected, I got this block-off plate from Alpha Racing. Installation is super simple. A piece of aluminium, some foam to protect the electronics and coils, a few screws and done. Next up was routing the carbon brake lines. That turned out to be quite the project. After a few hours of trial and error, I found out that the best setup was routing the right line straight down to the caliper, while the left line follows the original factory routing. But to make that work, I actually had to sand down this plate a bit to create some extra clearance. While I was working around the front end, this was also the perfect moment to install these steering blockers from Wonderlieg. These are mandatory for the Super Cup Racing Series. They mount onto the fork tubes and basically limit how far the handlebars can turn. Another requirement for the Super Cup technical regulations is this special foam. The shiny layer adds a bit of weight to the fairings and changes their resonance, so they don't act like a giant sound amplifier. Then the soft foam layer on top absorbs sound. It's a pretty clever kit, although it does feel slightly wrong to purposely add weight to a race bike. That's all done. That's nice, that's nice. Oh yeah, and also it's time for a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video. I want to thank me. I want to thank me for always believing in me. I want to thank me for always having my back. All right. I noticed that the hose between the brake reservoir and the master cylinder was just a tiny bit too short. So I made a slightly longer one. Since the brake system was completely dry at this point, it was also the perfect moment to clean the calipers properly. This is something more important than people think. I'm running SBS dual carbon brake pads and they're fantastic on track, but they do wear down relatively fast and produce quite a lot of brake dust. The pads themselves were actually still in great condition. I simply use a toothbrush and loads of brake cleaner to clean around the pistons, especially the outer edges. The original steel caliper bolts also had to be replaced with these titanium ones. Not because titanium makes me faster, unfortunately, but because they have holes for safety lock wire, which is mandatory under the Super Cup technical regulations. After that, it was finally time to fill the system back up with brake fluid. I always use Brembo HTC 64T. It's a high-performance racing brake fluid with an ultra-low compressibility, which is critical when your brakes get extremely hot during track riding. I won't go into the full bleeding process here, but the basic order is: first bleed the master cylinder, then the calipers, and then the master cylinder once more. The rear brake is slightly different on this bike, but with a little bit of help from my friend Lino, we got everything done pretty quickly. The last visible piece of crash damage from last season was this engine cover, so I replaced it with a new one from GB Racing. This is not me trying to be romantic. I'm just installing new handlebar grips. I massively underestimated how hard this would be. I've seen people do it with an air compressor, which basically inflates the grip so it slides on easily. But I don't have that luxury. So this came down to brute force, lots of lubricating glue, and questionable life choices. But eventually it worked out, and the result with this matching orange color looks pretty good. Next up, the oil filler cap. I found this nice CNC orange one that already has holes for lock wire. Totally unnecessary upgrade, but it looks sick. Since it was already late and dark outside, the final thing I wanted to do was replacing the oil sump plug with one that also has holes for safety wire. I was honestly a bit nervous doing this, because if you mess this up, you basically dump all your fresh oil on the floor. And this engine was filled with brand new expensive racing oil from Motul. Luckily, everything went smooth and we got it done without turning the entire garden into an environmental disaster.
There we go. We got it, baby.
We got it? Okay,
we got it, baby.
And that's basically it. The bike is back together, so now let's get back to where this thing actually belongs, at the TT Circuit of Assen. It is super windy and super cold. Every time I get off the bike I need to put my coat on and everything. So actually the first session was not great. This was a huge moment for me. I hadn't ridden since I broke my ankle at the end of the last season in September. Now the moment was finally here. Gloves back on, tire warmers off, visor down, let's send it. As much as I enjoyed actually being back on the track, it was also a moment of realization. My brain really had to get used to this again. 200 horsepower at the flick of a wrist, braking at the very edge. Somehow I expected to pick things up right where I left them off last year. But that wasn't the case. I was hesitant, scared even. I knew where the racing lines were, but I couldn't make them happen. The bike is working perfect, but I did change so much on it, like the seating, the ergonomics, the handlebars. It didn't really click for me. I was too stiff. Second session was about the same. I still made mistakes, but slowly I started to build up the pace. Unfortunately, after the second session, a Marshal spotted the camera in my helmet.
Hey, je moet die camera eruit halen.
Okay.
Dat moet je nou echt doen, want je mag de baan niet op met die camera.
A few hours later.
We're locked and loaded. The car is completely stacked. And most importantly, the bike completely in one piece. So yeah, it was a good start of the season. Got a bit of the feel for the bike. Didn't go as well as I expected, to be honest. Yeah, I was just rusty, man. The new position, so the higher seating position, makes me lean forward a lot more, so it puts a lot of stress on my neck, actually. So yeah, I need to, I don't know what I don't know. What should I do? I have no idea. Let's just go home in one piece. All right, it's Monday. We had a nice Easter break with the family after the track day. So now I think it's a good time to reflect on how the first day was, what my feeling is moving into my first year of doing competition riding. I have to say the bike is absolutely mint. Everything worked brilliantly. Engine smooth as butter. The brakes were absolutely great. So the main feeling I had was that I felt super stiff. I didn't spend any time on the motorcycle ever since I crashed and I broke my ankle. Felt that I really needed to build my confidence again. So in terms of tires, I actually decided before this track day to keep my old tires. I wasn't feeling a flow, I wasn't letting the bike ride itself, I was fighting a little bit with it. As I mentioned, I have this new rear tail section. I need to keep my head up quite far. And what I realized is that I've been training my ass off. But one thing I didn't do is train my neck muscles. I'm not super flexible.
Take one good stretch through the mid back here. Okay.
A little tight.
Yeah, it's been stiff over.
I want to try change a few minor things.
On a race bike you want the handlebars fairly wide. But maybe I overdid it a bit by bringing my position further forward than necessary. So I decided to adjust the handlebars ever so slightly more into a V shape.
And secondly, if we can just remove the seat and put foam straight on the seat fairing, maybe that will decrease the seating height a bit, give me that little bit extra comfort.
I measured the seat fairing and including its padding, it's about 3 centimeters thick. The foam that I have itself is only 1 centimeter. First I made a shape using duct tape, which I then used as a template to cut out the foam.
Alright, well, cut it out with the duct tape shape on the back. Made some holes for the screws underneath. And also the sides, you can just sand it down a bit with sandpaper. I think it's time to slap it on. I think it's a bit lower. In the next episode, we're going racing. Yeah, it's going to be fucking amazing, guys. Let's rock and roll.